You know, you have all these other things that Polkadot has pioneered or did first a long time ago, and all these other layer 2s and other networks are following now. In terms of like data, Polkadot is very organized in terms of like, it's very intentional in how it designs the network, and that makes it easier for us to organize data from the network. Other networks, it's just kind of the Wild West, and so everything's chaotic. It's harder. But yeah, Polkadot's it's an OG, and it's kind of like tried out for the first time. A lot of these technologies have now been adopted.
I'm here with James Bailey. He is the COO of SubQuery. GM.
Good morning. Good afternoon. It's not good morning anymore.
I know.
It's afternoon.
I know.
It's a long day.
Well, but still.
It's the end of the day of our second day of Polkadot Decoded.
Yeah. How do you feel?
It's been a big day, you know, and we're day 2 into the whole week. We've got a big week ahead of us at Token, and
Tomorrow's big.
Tomorrow's big. The day after's big. So I'm like, wow, I got a long way to go. I need to like have a good sleep tonight.
Yeah. Well, long flights, I guess.
No, I live here, so luckily,
I
you know, it's a
see.
long bus ride or train ride into town.
Then you're lucky. Most of my guests today, they travel like 16 flight. They have a flight like 16
Yeah, I
or
know.
20 hours.
I know. I'm
flight.
happy because usually I'm the one traveling to Europe. So for the first time, there you're traveling to see me. That's great.
Less of the work. But yeah, I mean, everyone expecting tomorrow and the day after as well. But today is already like, I see people, they do connections and like connecting with each other. Yeah. So let's get back to our story a bit. Tell me a little bit about yourself first. We're all curious. Tell me about your background. How did you get into Web3?
Yeah, I've been involved in the space for about 4 or 5 years now. Don't ask me. I like it. It kind of makes me sad how long I've been, how old I
I
am.
lost track of
You know,
time.
it
I
lost
didn't
track of
ask that
time.
as well.
We've been involved in Polkadot for a long time. In fact, we were one of the first
The early.
infrastructure teams.
I see.
So SubQuery is a data indexer, and what that means is that we are a developer tool. Maybe I'll talk about what we do after this, but we were one of the first developer tools in Polkadot. In fact, we started as On Finality, which was a big RPC provider. If you like do anything in Polkadot, you're probably making requests through our servers. And when we're talking to teams out there, they're always like, someone needs to build a data indexer. And we're like, we could do that. So we built SubQuery. And so my background is in product management.
I see.
I was a developer. I'm a software developer.
You were a builder yourself.
I trained to
I
be a
see.
developer, but then I realized I was a pretty lousy developer. I wasn't that good. So when you're not a good developer, you find something else to do, and product management is a good idea to do. And so I do code occasionally, but it's usually not a good idea. But yeah, it's been a long time in this space, and we've been in Polkadot for a long time. And before this, I was in other Web3 companies, but I've always been interested by Web3. I think for every software engineer, Web3 is an interesting like area or career that you want to work in.
What's
So-
the best feature? The aspect that you're looking in Web3 for you.
For me personally, I
Yeah.
think as a software developer, there's 2 leading edges of like software development. One is AI and one is Web3.
Yeah.
So working in the kind of, you know, if you're an engineer, for example, you might work as a rocket scientist, for example, because that's like the cool stuff. But
Yeah.
for software, Web3 is the cool stuff. It's a cool thing. So I've been excited to be involved in this place. It provides a lot of like challenges. It's not the easiest job to have, but you learn something every day.
So tell me about SubQuery.
Yeah, so
condense them.
yeah, I'll try to condense it down. So, okay, so SubQuery is an indexer. Now, what that means is that we manage data from the blockchain and we put it into a format that allows developers to use that data easier, faster, better. So, for example, if you're building a application, you need to show charts or graphs or show like
Yeah,
lists of
sure.
like previous transactions. Let's say a wallet, you might want to show a list of all the transactions you've had. You might want to show your staking revenue over time, all of these different things. Now, these kind of charts and stuff require data. And blockchains, they are really bad at storing data. What we do at SubQuery is we provide a tool which helps developers unlock that data and use that data in the application. So if you're a developer building any kind of application, whether it's a wallet, an NFT marketplace, a prediction market, a DEX, a DeFi application, anything out there, you're going to need to use an indexer like SubQuery. Now we're an OG in Polkadot.
Index, right?
Indexer.
Indexer.
Indexing is a term for the process of collecting and organizing data.
I see. Okay. Yeah, carry on.
No,
Sorry.
so essentially, yeah,
Curious.
there's many developers out there that use tools like SubQuery.
Mm-hmm.
We're an OG in Polkadot. We've been working with Polkadot and all the parachains for a long time. I think we support about 60 or 70 different parachains.
I see.
We've also expanded support into a bunch of other ecosystems outside of Polkadot. And so we're a pretty big player in terms of working with other teams and providing tooling for developers.
Mm-hmm. Then, from your viewpoint, because you work with different ecosystem as well, do you see like the approach to data from different ecosystem compared to Polkadot? What is your viewpoint?
It's interesting. So Polkadot, I find, is one of it's like a first mover in a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that Polkadot pioneered or did first that other ecosystems are just following now. So for example, governance. Polkadot started with governance from the first step.
More than a year already.
Yeah, long time ago,
When
right? I remember I made one of the earliest proposals, like I think 3 or 4 years ago. Things like shared security. Cosmos, for example, is having issues because each of their networks has their own validators. But Polkadot, of course, has shared securities. It's something that layer 2s are now copying.
Copying?
You have like the performance improvements of Polkadot. You have all these other things that Polkadot has pioneered or did first a long time ago. And all these other layer 2s and other networks are following now. In terms of like data, Polkadot is very organized in terms of it's very intentional in how it designs the network. And that makes it easier for us to organize data from the network. Other networks, it's just kind of the Wild West. And so everything's chaotic. It's harder. But yeah, Polkadot's, it's an OG and it's kind of like tried out for the first time. A lot of these technologies have now been adopted by other ecosystems.
Do you think that if others are copying, maybe they can do better? I mean, you just said that.
Potentially, right?
Yeah.
Copying or imitation is a serious form of flattery, they say, right? Is that copying something is like a way to give kudos to that network. So yeah, other networks might copy this, right? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't really change things, right? Polkadot has chosen how to do things. If other networks copy, then that's you can't stop that in Web3. Web3 is one of those industries where if people are going to copy you, which a lot of teams and projects have copied, there's no shortage of copycat projects out there. You just have to win in other ways. You can't win by building there's no such thing as like a patent in Web3, right? If there's a great idea, you should expect that people are going to copy it.
Sure. So how about developers on Polkadot? What are the challenges that you find?
Polkadot developers are incredibly smart and I find like there's like pretty much no better developer community out there. They're very intense, they're very smart, they're very opinionated. I don't know if you've ever seen some of the discussions on some governance posts, but there are like some serious battles going on between some very intelligent developers that have some very strong views on stuff. And that's great. Like it's good to see like smart people
able to talk to each other.
Yeah, because it creates better outcomes, right? Like when they debate, it creates better outcomes, and that's what we want, right? So the developers in Polkadot are very much onto it. And I think a lot of people in the Polkadot ecosystem are there because they really like the technology. They really love the tech, and they think the tech is the best foundations to build their products on. So that's one thing about Polkadot is the developers, I think, are one of its best assets.
Yeah, I think that's also like one of the core, their core, the Polkadot core to make them sustainable. Like a lot of ecosystem, maybe they have their tech, but then they focus more on marketing, I guess.
Or some ecosystems have just the degens,
Yeah,
some
definitely.
ecosystems have the meme coin community. Some ecosystems just have some very vocal people on social media.
So maybe Polkadot goes slow in marketing, I guess, but then they have like a huge community and
Well, this is what you guys are here at Polkadot
yeah, that's
Insider
the
for,
reason
right?
why we're here, discuss about it. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, I think in this world, fracture, it's like the beauty of it. That's what I see a lot of people, they also tell me about it. Yeah, and keep improving it with the technology. And that's what Polkadot is actually doing right now, rather than some other ecosystem dependings. Yeah. So I could say that you're like a Polkadot lover with passion. with Polkadot. So tell me, beside the text, what do you like the most about being in this ecosystem as well?
I like how small and tight the community is. I go to events like Polkadot Decoded here in Asia, and I see some of my best friends in the Web3 space here because I've been seeing them for years, right? Like, so it's a very tight-knit community that knows each other very well. And also it's a very helpful community. So let's say a new team comes in, you can ask one player like, hey, I'm building here, and they'll listen and hear what you're saying and hear what you're building. And it's very likely they'll introduce you to about 5 other people. Right? Like the community is very close. And sometimes it's a bad thing in terms of new entrants. Like if there's a new competition coming in, the community can close up sometimes. But I think overall, like if you're asking for help and you're being honest about it and you have good intentions, the community will connect you and support you and help you grow. That's one of the best things about this ecosystem is the community.
Beautiful. Let's go back a bit about SubQuery. I mean, you will mention AI, right? And the technology. How do you think that you will mention AI? So how do you think AI-powered app can actually affect the ecosystem, can help the ecosystems?
So I talked about this yesterday at my keynote. Essentially, SubQuery, we've been able to view a lot of applications being built within Polkadot and within other ecosystems. And we talked to a lot of developers, and we kind of have a good understanding of what makes a good application, right? Like, so these days, it's got to be fast, it's got to be easy to use, it's got to be simple, but like, it helps you get things done. It's got to be multi-chain, whether it's multi-parachain or multi-network. And it's got to have good wallet integration, for example, maybe have a mobile version. These things make a good application today. But we think that tomorrow, the next generation of applications, of decentralized applications, are going to be ones that are intelligent. And what we mean by that is AI-powered, AI-enabled applications. Okay? We're seeing, of course, if you don't know about AI, you probably got your head under a rock somewhere. Everyone's heard about it, but Web3 is a unique thing where Web3 is a big landscape. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I look at my own wallet and I've got a bunch of tokens in there that I got years ago and I've forgotten how they work. I've forgotten where I can use them. I've forgotten how to stake them. I've forgotten how to bridge them, how to swap them. I don't know, like there's a lot of information and even I forget, sometimes what I did a year or two ago. And what that means is that AI is really good at taking large volumes of information and summarizing it down.
Put it back into something easier to
understand, exactly.
To eat.
And you know what we have in Web3? We have a massive usability problem. There's so much stuff going on. There's so many new tokens. There's so many new bridges. There's so many new networks that no one mind can kind of keep track of everything that's going on.
Even in Web 2,
Even in Web 2, but Web 3 specifically,
I think it's more. It's more than that. Yeah.
So I think AI has got great potential to help us in Web3 build applications that are easy to use, that make you more in control of your stuff because you have more information about what's happening here. So, for example, in a wallet, I should be able to see, an AI should be able to tell me what's the token about, how did I get it, what can I do with it, how can I stake it, or how can I bridge it and swap it to something else, and suggest some information back to me and save me time researching it. Or an NFT marketplace should have an AI features that allow me to understand who's the artist, what's their background, what do they do before, what's their previous work and how well it's done, that kind of stuff, right? So we think the next generation of applications in Web3 are going to be AI-powered, intelligent applications. And now we're working to enable that. So SubQuery, we are an indexer, but we also do a lot of infrastructure stuff. So we do RPCs.
Okay.
And we're now launching a product which is decentralized AI.
I see.
And essentially that means that you can build a AI model, for example, one that's trained on NFT marketplaces.
But that comes with layers of classifications.
Yeah, so you can go off and you can train it with whatever tool you want. Once it's trained, you need someone to run it. You need somewhere to run and better answer questions.
So that's the infrastructure.
And that's the infrastructure piece, and that's what we're working on providing, and that's what we're empowering.
How about security and how to guarantee the information's it's correct?
That's the tricky part. So at the moment, if you look at today, Web 2, or like the Web 2 AI space, is dominated by two companies. You have OpenAI and you have Google. And every message you send them, like I don't know if you use ChatGPT.
Yeah,
I
of
use it
course.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of
He
questions.
uses it. He uses it all the time.
They get a lot of questions, right?
Yeah.
I send a lot of questions. Some of those questions are pretty damn personal, right?
Mm-hmm,
You know?
mm-hmm.
Write a message to my mum to wish her a happy birthday or something, you know? Or,
Okay, okay.
You know, like things that maybe you don't want people to know, right? And so why are we doing this? Why are we going back to the old ways and sending all of our most private information, private questions to two companies in the world, two big closed source companies? And I think that's a really bad thing. Like AI is the next kind of phase for our internet, and I believe for our applications in Web3. But it's no good if we're sending all of that information to two companies. It's the worst parts of Web2, okay?
But not a lot of people, they notice that.
No
like
one,
my mom,
at
like
the
my
moment,
dad,
people
they
don't care
know.
about it. But
Yeah.
one day, one of those two companies is going to get hacked. And one day, one of those companies is going to, like, some bad actor is going to get access and see all the
People, they don't
information that you've
foresee
ever
that.
looked up. And let's say you're in a small country where you're not able to talk freely, and you know you're asking AIs how to install software to get around that stuff. You know, guess what that could do to your life? You know, in that country or something. You know, it could hurt people. Okay, so it is hard to. There is like no exact way to guarantee privacy in AI unless you run it yourself, which is hard. But what we can do on a decentralized network is, rather than one company being able to view and store and analyze all of your questions, we can send all of your questions to different AI runners around the world. So no one runner knows who you are and can piece together an entire view of every question you've asked it.
That's the decentralized
That's
part?
the decentralized part. So yes, people, we don't know what they're running on their computer, but we know that, you know, let's say you ask 50 questions, they're split among 50 AI providers. So they don't know who you are. They can't piece together your kind of, you know, your story.
Makes sense.
And this is something that is classic around decentralization. It's hard to confirm that no one actor on a network is a bad actor. But by having a network of many actors, even if there's one bad actor, it doesn't necessarily bring down the network
whole
or bring down
system.
the system. Exactly.
Understand. Interesting. I use ChatGPT, but I never thought of it, actually. But since we're in Web3 already, we know about decentralized already. Yeah, I started to get aware.
Or maybe tomorrow when you write a message to ChatGPT and you're like, maybe I shouldn't send something.
Maybe I
you know?
shouldn't. Or maybe I just
Yeah.
not using it as for now, obviously. So yeah, so what's next for SubQuery?
So we've just launched this AI feature. We're just working on our roadmap to kind of make it production ready and scale it. Our dream is that anyone's going to be able to deploy their own custom models, and then they're going to be able to build their own intelligent apps and run those using the SubQuery network. So we're working on that now. But really, we're just expanding across all different networks. Wherever developers are, we're trying to help them build. So spending a lot of time in terms of developer support, developer relations, to help them build and deploy on our network and run their applications in a decentralized way.
But for now, you are Polkadot centric.
We're Polkadot centric. We're very focused on Polkadot,
I see.
but we also work across many different other ecosystems.
Can you give like some more
We
examples?
work across over 210 different chains.
Great.
So we're all through EVM, all through Cosmos, Polkadot, Algorand, Near, Stellar, and we're working on a few others.
That's great. So what's the big mission, the big vision of SubQuery?
Essentially to provide decentralized infrastructure tooling to developers. And the mission here is that no developer anymore should ever have to use a centralized service in the application. They should never have to use a centralized product ever again. They should be able to build the applications in a completely decentralized way.
I think it's been mind-open for me to have a chat with you. Thank you so much for being here,
Thank you for
taking your
having
time
me.
here. Thank you. So I hope to see you in the future.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we're done.